One is still not quite, may just touch the southwestern corner of Nevada County, just the very edge of our viewing area. But let's take a look at this storm, and the one that I'm, I think, a little more concerned about right now in our viewing area is the one that we're looking at near Smackover. And this is a long way from the radar site, but what we're looking at is this one right here, and there is the rotation. This is not a giant thunderstorm. None of these will be. They're rather low top. They aren't really aggressive, damaging winds. Hail, not a threat. We're in a very tropical environment, but anything in that lowest level of the atmosphere with the thunderstorms going up, it can rotate because there's a lot of spin imparted to the atmosphere, a lot of shear in the atmosphere. And so all of these could briefly have tornadoes with them very close to the Ouachita River there as it moves up along Highway 7. And we're also watching this one to the northeast of Stevens, not tornado warned right now. But the biggest issue, I believe, is going to be, I'm going to go back onto this one right here, and we look at the one that will move across from Waldo just to the southwest of Willisville, right there. So that would be that corner of Nevada County, moving up out of Columbia County and across the northeastern corner of Lafayette County. We'll give you just a broader view of this, folks, and show you what we're talking about. You can see the circulation center associated with Beryl. And it's moving very quickly off to the northeast. And these tornadoes have been kind of clustered closer to the center of it. And now the center is moving up this way, so we're getting enough spin imparted to these that we have those tornado warnings there. Moving to the northwest about 30 miles per hour, and we're going to continue to watch these. If we could go to storm scan real quick. Let me go to storm scan here for me, and I'll show you the area that is rotating right there. Okay, we'll just do it right here with this one. But yeah. If we have those two, you can see the reds and the greens coming together very closely, north of Smackover and up to the northeast of Stevens. This will be another area that I think the Weather Service is probably watching very closely for another tornado warning. And it's like in springtime days when we have severe weather outbreaks, we have tornado outbreaks. Every storm that goes up, it seems like, has the potential to spin. Well, these won't be that strong. They won't be giant tornadoes. Hopefully they don't last very long, but we have had confirmed tornadoes already, and they look like that they are significant, even though they may be on the low end of the EF scale. But all of these storms, small as they are, do have the potential to rotate. James, I think the Weather Service is looking again at that one, but it doesn't look like as organized as the one north of Smackover.
They are looking at the western cell, and with these storms in East Texas and West Louisiana were prolific tornado producers. So this storm, even though it's at the edge of radar range, right over the Ouachita River, is rotating very strong. It's got very strong rotation with it. I think it's going to be tough for us to determine if a tornado is down, but it is headed towards Camden and East Camden. So if you're in the Camden area, go ahead and head to your tornado safe spot. Tropical systems often do, tornadoes and tropical systems often don't carry the same classic supercellular shape, but today they kind of have. We've got a hook echo right there, and there's where our rotation is, and this storm headed north-northwest. It's not the direction that we're used to storms moving. A lot of our storms move towards the northeast or towards the east. This is moving towards the north-northwest, so the direction that it's coming from changing from what you're probably used to. This tornado warning covers a large part of Ouachita County just north of Smackover, and this does take us into Camden. I'm going to put a storm track on this as it moves towards the northwest so you can see exactly what I'm talking about as this jumps off towards the a direction that you may not be used to, and it is headed into Camden at 6:10. Harmony Grove, 6:18, and then up towards Amy in the northern part of the county by 6:31. And those are important times to remember because you have a little bit of time to get to a tornado safe place. Right now, the area of strongest rotation is right along, I believe that is going to be Ouachita 67, and then up to where there's a lot of trees down in this area. I imagine it's very hard to see a tornado if we've got one down. But as you go up towards the northwest, that's when, of course, when you get up towards Camden, I'd say everybody in Camden and East Camden needs to be in a tornado safe spot as that storm moves off towards the northeast. Also want to update you on the storm that is off towards the west of Magnolia. The update from the National Weather Service in Shreveport calls this a confirmed tornado, and that is moving into the northern part of Lafayette County, and that is going to be passing very close to Falcon. And this I think is going to stay to the west of Bodcaw. That's going to go into the southwest tip of Nevada County before it goes into Hempstead County. So several tornado warnings for you to be aware of. Again, this entire region is lifting off towards the north and northwest. We've got a tornado warning in Texarkana towards Ashdown, northern Columbia County, Nevada County, Hempstead County, and then of course Washita County and the far western tip of Bradley County. And we've got more storms to watch coming out of Louisiana. And at least for the next few hours, as these move towards the north, we're just going to have to keep a close eye on them. We don't expect that they'll produce long track tornadoes, but they'll probably produce tornadoes. The tornado will lift, and they'll produce more tornadoes, and that's just kind of how it's going to be over the next couple of hours. This storm, Barry, I think towards Camden, probably is going to be, I would say, the most worrisome because it has the most access to instability. It's very close to an area where temperatures have been into the upper 80s, and we have very strong rotation there right along the Washita River. But remember, this is moving northwest, so this is headed directly towards Camden. So again, Camden, East Camden, if you're listening to us along Highway 7, 79 that runs off towards the northeast, get in your tornado safe spot. It's very important that you take your precautions. This will be in and out of here very quickly. Barry?
Yeah, right along the river, as you mentioned, with that storm, and I'm looking at some landmarks there, E&H Construction, Frenchport Community Church within the path of this. And if we could go over to our storm scan, I do want to show you exactly what we're talking about. It shows the rotation just a little bit better there in that southeastern part of Washita County. Let's go back to what we're looking at, smack over. I'll go, yeah, there it is right there. And right along the river, you can see that area, the small communities of Elliott, Luann, and north of Smackover, but then Camden begins to show up in East Camden. And if it's right along the river there, that would be along Washita Road 67. So if you're right along that area, this should be moving to the north-northwest, and it will eventually make its way right along the river up toward Camden and East Camden, and moving at a pretty good clip. We'll put this into motion, and you can see the radar. This is from Shreveport, the radar from Shreveport showing that. And the last few frames, I think, getting a little bit stronger there, even though it's a considerable different distance away from the radar site in Shreveport. It's also a considerable distance away from the radar site in Little Rock. And there you can see the other storm, not quite as organized over in the southwestern part of the county there. Well, that's over into Nevada County, but we're talking about over to the north of Stevens. That one is not as organized as it moves up toward the eastern part of Nevada County. But we'll also watch this, a confirmed tornado with this, as it moves just toward that tip of Nevada County, and that will move up toward the very small community of Falcon right there. It's down south of Bodcaw, and up to the northeast of Stamps is that rotation. And so as we back out, hopefully, a lot of times with these storm systems like this, tornadoes that are developed in a tropical system like this, they don't last a long time. We've not seen that so far. We've seen these actually persisting for a little while, but the reds and the greens right there along the Washita River as it snakes down to the southeast of Camden, and we'll head up toward East Camden. It's going to just follow right along that line, and that's why the tornado warning is for that entire area. It looks a little bit different on the radar there, but it has that familiar hook right there. Let's go back to, we can go back to computer number 1, and you can see it right there. The hook feature, not quite as pronounced in the southwestern part of Washita County. But this storm is the one that is dominant right now, and that's why the tornado warning has been issued along it. And hopefully, like these things, James, sometimes do, they don't last forever. They begin to lose some of their punch. They can't sustain themselves like a storm that maybe has a cold front helping it, or a dry line, something like that. But these have been remarkably resilient.
Yeah, and structurally very impressive, unfortunately for us here in Arkansas as we track these things across the state. The area of rotation that's between Camden and Stevens, still not impressive, but still worth watching. Confirmed tornado continues to move up towards the southwest part of Nevada County. It's a confirmed tornado there. And the area of rotation that's headed right towards Camden still looks very impressive on radar. So, as we've been saying, Camden right along Washita County Road 67, make sure you're in your tornado safe place. Looking at a couple of landmarks, Barry called out E&H Construction. The Mill Creek Trailer Park there on the southeast side of Camden. You need to leave and get in a safe spot. You've still got a few minutes to do so. And this is coming up right between Highway 7, Washita Road 67, and that's the Washita River there that the rotation currently sits over. This is moving northwest at 35 miles per hour, so it's going to move pretty quickly and get into Camden and East Camden here. Hopefully it's not down on the ground, but that's pretty impressive area of rotation, and also some very heavy rain with this as well. Remember, when we're down looking at this area of the state, the radar beam is getting into this at about 8, 9, 10,000 feet, depending on exactly which scan you look at. But still, if it's rotating like this at that level, we can bet that it's probably rotating like that at the lowest level. Cullendale, Lakeside, there's Washita 67. Between that and the Washita River, that's where we have the strongest area of rotation. And it looks like it's going to pass right between Camden and East Camden if I had to put kind of a track on exactly where we think it's going to go. The National Weather Service has updated their tornado warning, and they're trying to get some quicker low-level scans. This tornado warned storm, and just to kind of update you on how quickly it's moving, it's not moving as quick. It's moving northwest at 25 miles per hour. Put a track on that through Camden and off towards the northwest. Within the next hour, it is going to clear Washita County and then get up towards Dallas County and Clark County, just to kind of give you an idea on where this is headed down the road. Camden, 609, 610, maybe a little quicker than that. It's not moving particularly fast, but Harmony Grove, it'll be there shortly after that. We'll continue to watch it as it's near the Washita River. That is just one storm that we're watching, of course. We have a couple others that we're keeping a close eye on. The storm to the west of Camden, not under a tornado warning. And just to kind of give you an idea, without all the radar on, we're tracking 3 tornado warned storms. We've got the one north of Magnolia, the one close to Ashdown, and then the one coming in to Camden. And beyond that, we have a large area of rain that's behind that down in Louisiana, and there are tornado warnings on some of those storms. So we've got a while to go here. There's this initial band, and then there's other storms that'll develop on the eastern bands of Beryl, and then you see tornado warnings there east of I-49 Louisiana. Well, we've got to watch this all night as this entire area shifts towards the northeast up into Arkansas. So we don't expect to have tornado warnings just every moment tonight, but at times these things are going to rotate, and that's why we're going to be here all night waiting for you. Before you head off to bed tonight, make sure you have the KT weather app. Just have a way to get alerts sent to your phone. You just don't want to be caught off guard tonight. Remember, interior rooms, away from windows, you'll be just fine. You just have to take some action when you get under a tornado warning. Let's go back into the 3 tornado warned areas that we're looking at, and we'll go back down and look at the storm that is off towards well off towards the west of northwest of Magnolia. The rotation there not quite as strong as these things often do cycle. That storm, the area of rotation there, kind of in between northern Lafayette County and then far southwest Nevada County. The most impressive looking storm that we have right now is the one near the Washita River, and for those of you in Camden and East Camden, very strong area of rotation continues there on the eastern side of this storm. And it is moving north, maybe north-northwest. So Camden, East Camden, I'd imagine tornado sirens have been sounding for some time now. Just stay in your safe place and wait this out. It's going to be quickly moving, north, I say quickly, 25 miles per hour. It's going to be moving, it'll continue moving north and probably be drifting west a little bit more as it gets further and further towards the north. Barry, I think it's just the start of what could be a long night. Not that we'll have unending tornado warnings, but it takes some time for a tropical system to move across the state.
Yeah, it's very persistent. It has a lot of heat energy with it, so it will persist into the overnight, I'm afraid. Here's the track. The thing is going to come right up over. It has max winds of 45 miles per hour right now. It will turn into a tropical depression when the winds fall below tropical storm force, and then move right up through central Arkansas, maybe just to the west of Little Rock, but that's the path. And so what you're looking at is the center of circulation and then off to the right and forward of the center. We call that the right front quadrant of the storm, and you would anticipate the tornado warnings to be in that area. And lo and behold, that's exactly where they are right now. So we're watching this as they continue to spiral around. This one is still the strongest one headed into Camden, as you mentioned. This one still has some rotation on it in the western part of Ouachita County. That'll quickly move her into Nevada County. And then we have the one that just barely, the rotation will just barely clip that southwestern part of Nevada County. And there you can see it right there. But that is red and green. And then that will move over into Hempstead County very quickly. That moving at about 30 miles per hour, so a little bit quicker. But we're watching those two storms. The one, if you're in the Camden area, just down to the southeast of Camden, go ahead and get into that safe spot right now. We are at, well, the time frame is about 10 minutes, probably coming into the city there. And there is some indication, even though it's a long way from the radar site, there's rotation, and these have had a history of it. So let's just assume that we have a tornado on the ground. It may or may not be, but there is no reason if you're in that area, especially Camden, the park out there on the river, East Camden, it looks like it might be just kind of moving over into that western part of Calhoun County. So moving right up through there, that's the corridor that we're going to see, and then it will quickly move on up to the northwest, rotating around that area of circulation, the leftover remnant of Beryl down to the southwest. So if you're in your safe place right now, or if you're in that area of southwest Arkansas over the next hour, you're going to need to be watching us and letting us keep a close watch on these storms, because as soon as they develop, they begin to rotate. Not all of them will have tornadoes with them, but I think a few definitely will, and so we're going to look for that. This is what the structure looks like. There's also some heavy rainfall with these, just a mass of heavy rain, but there are those storms that are kind of embedded within that, and it's not really taking away a lot of their energy, it doesn't appear. And then on down to the south, as James has mentioned, there are more tornado warnings down into Louisiana. You can see kind of a cluster of them along that area southeast of Shreveport. So this whole circulation has to go through. The hope is that as we get deeper into the evening, the circulation, the main source of all that spin in the atmosphere, the circulation will die. And every minute that a tropical system comes on land and moves along, it gets a little bit weaker and weaker and weaker. And it will. There's no doubt about that. So hopefully its ability to rile up the atmosphere and get these tornado warnings going will begin to wane eventually. But I think it's going to be a while. I think we're going to be in it for the evening hours. We're just looking for signs every time that the radar comes around, signs of a lessening of the rotation there. We haven't really seen it. Yeah, maybe not quite what it was, but it's definitely right there, moving up toward East Camden, I would think, just right along the river. Big industrial area out there to the east side of town. So watch out along that area. And then Highway 7 coming into Camden, it'll be moving kind of parallel or maybe just along the east side of that. If you're in Camden and eastward, get into the safe spot, southeast and eastward. Just go ahead and get into that middle part of your house, the lowest floor of your house that you can. And I'm going to back out and show you the other storm that's in the western part of the county. Still looks like some possible rotation along it. That's along Highway 57. Keep a wary eye to the sky over there, and watch us closely, because, folks, all of a sudden there could be a tornado warning on that one as well. As we head into southwestern Nevada County, there is that one storm. It's gonna clip about the 2 square miles of Nevada County in our viewing area before it moves over into Hempstead County a little bit later on. And we're going to put this into motion for you and show you that all these storms are moving off to the north-northwest. They all have to rotate around that main center of rotation. The one, though, that we're a little more concerned about as it comes into a population center is the one in Camden and East Camden. I'm just showing the velocity mode there, just showing the wind inside of it, and it's right there, and it will be moving up Highway 278, feeding in to Highway 79, and about that intersection is about where you're going to see this rotation move through. James, I don't think there's any reason to believe that this doesn't have a tornado with it, just given what we saw earlier down in Louisiana.
Weather Service has changed a couple of settings on the radar, and they think the rotation has actually decreased a little bit in the last little bit. However, I want you to look at the radar off towards the east, and it doesn't matter as much in a tropical system, but off towards the east, there is a lot of warmth and humidity that this particular storm has access to. Of course, there are other storms embedded within rain that are producing tornadoes, but that is one thing to watch for. So the Weather Service is going to continue watching the trends to see if it weakens or strengthens. Any one of these storms that we have going tonight, kind of embedded within a tropical system, could at some point rotate enough to produce a tornado. Though it usually doesn't happen, though, as tornadoes don't get down and stay down for a long time. You see these things pulse up and pulse down over the course of 15 to 30 minutes, and that's what's happening right now. Still have the tornado warning, as Barry just showed you, off towards really the far southwest part of Nevada County. It may be more in Lafayette County there. Our storm that's headed into the Camden area, even though it's far from the radar, you can generally see the shape of the storm. It is supercellular, and it's definitely rotating, at least way above the surface. Does it have something at the ground level? We sure hope not, but if you're in the area, there's the inflow notch right there. We're still watching it. It's just a little bit closer to 278 there, and that is Washita Road, I believe, 67, and this is Arkansas Highway 7. This is just looking off towards the northeast. Again, let's take a look at the velocity, and we'll be able to kind of pinpoint a little better the area of rotation. If you are not familiar with looking at radar, sometimes this can be really hard to look at. This is the area of rotation. You're looking for winds that are going away from the radar, winds that are going towards the radar, and then you can kind of guess that are going towards the radar, and then you can kind of guess where right along the Washita River. It looks like it actually did pass into the western side of Calhoun County. Part of Calhoun County is under a tornado warning, but this is well removed from Hampton. That's well off towards the east. This is mainly a Camden, East Camden, Shoemaker, Harmony Grove storm that we're watching as it moves basically north-northwest. It's going to be following Highway 7 if this storm holds together. And while the rotation will pulse up and pulse down, I do expect that this storm overall will hold together. I want to put it in motion because it's very easy to see kind of what it's doing over the course of its life cycle. The rotation a little bit stronger as it was off towards the south, maybe a little bit weaker now as it comes into the east side of Camden, and really maybe East Camden is where the peak of the circulation is. Still, though, the rotation in the storm and the storm itself, just looking at it on radar, everybody should be in their safe spot, and hopefully nothing's happening, and then you can come right out of your safe place and be done with this storm. Of course, there are more storms towards the south that we'll have to be watching over the course of the next 5 or 6 hours or so. Camden, this storm, it has very, very heavy rainfall with it. If you're not seeing a tornado, you are seeing a very, very heavy downpour. I'm talking maybe an inch per hour. If the storm was to sit right on top of you, you could easily get an inch or two of rain. So the rain's coming down very quickly, especially between Camden and East Camden, right along 79 there. The storm will continue to drift off towards the north, as they all are. And as we have seen over the years with tropical systems, they'll move north and then kind of a tick towards the northwest. So there's another tornado warning that's been recently issued. It's out of the Channel 7 viewing area, but it is again for Lafayette and Miller counties. And then there's another storm that's coming into Columbia County out of Louisiana that's also going to be something that we have to watch. I want to point out that as this whole system kind of moves towards Arkansas, regardless of the tornado threat with any of these storms, this is a very, very heavy area of rainfall that's now just lifted towards the north of Shreveport. I think this is going to reach the metro area by 11 p.m., midnight, 1 a.m. That is when we're going to see at least a threat for some very, very heavy rainfall. This is going to cross the state overnight. And then tomorrow morning, we'll be on the backside of this rain. That is still rain, but not quite as heavy. The tropical downpours where you get flooding and some tornadoes kind of all in advance in this right front quadrant of the circulation. You see the circulation there is off towards the west. of Shreveport. Back to what's occurring in our neck of the woods and occurring currently. We're watching in the Channel 7 viewing area 3 storms that are moving off towards the northwest. 2 of them are tornado warned. One of them going to be getting close to Hope here in the next little bit. I know there are some of you that do watch us in Hope, and I would think about maybe taking tornado precautions here within the next 5 minutes. On the western side of west of Camden, really, we have one storm that has rotated at times but has never been tornado warned, but you just kind of have to watch them all on a day like this. And the strongest looking storm that we have in the state is the one at east, heading for the east side of Camden. Looking at the velocity on all 3, Barry, the middle storm west of Camden has kind of had quite an uptick here in the last few minutes, and that may be one that the Weather Service looks at warning here maybe pretty soon as it approaches Highway 278. There is some strong rotation on that side and some rotation still as we approach Camden. Of course, it's always good to see rotation weekend, but I'm telling you, on a day like today, you can look at a radar signature and think that's not producing a tornado, and sometimes it does. And tropical systems do that kind of thing. They produce tornadoes that are very low, from low top storms, Barry, is what we call them. I think we're going to have to deal with these 3 storms, at least for the next hour, before maybe they kind of outrun some of the energy.
Well, hopefully that is the case. You were looking at the Shreveport radar right there, and it's kind of, boy, it's hard to tell which one is closer. I think the Little Rock radar now and the one in western Ouachita County is actually a little bit closer to the Little Rock radar. That storm is closer to Little Rock radar than it is the Shreveport radar. And I would agree that it has some broad rotation with it. And then the one that's moving up into the east side of Camden, I don't know that it looks as good as it did. Good, meaning bad, like capable of producing a tornado. But as you said, it doesn't take much in a environment like this, because you're shooting so high up, you're not seeing the low levels of the atmosphere, and these are all low-level rotating storms that don't go up very high. So right in that area, if you're still in the Camden, East Camden area, just go ahead and take cover. I would still be very wary in the western part of Ouachita County. I think the strongest storm is still that one that's headed up toward Hope. I think that is the one that has had a confirmed tornado with it, and I think it still continues as it moves now out of Nevada County into Hempstead County. That probably has the highest potential, but all 3 of them have the potential. I'm just showing the wind field inside, but let's just take a look at what the storms look like. They have that little curl on the end. This one not as much, and then that one has a pretty pronounced curl with it there. Some rotation becoming evident. But this is going to be right within the Camden and East Camden area right now. Just go ahead and get into that safe spot. Odds are it will not hit your house, but it could. And so that's why it's a warned storm. And we're showing you not this broad area over on the east side of the warning, on the west side of the warning. Now, we're getting more specific than that. We're showing you where the rotation is. It's not a mystery. And so we're going to go right into it and show you what we're talking about. And I'll go in a little bit tighter on, well, we are under the tornado watch there, but and I'll show you that again in just a second. But we're going to go right into the area where the reds and the greens are coming together. We've got a new velocity scan right there. And so right out where this is Highway 79 coming in, and then I believe that's 278 that's coming right there, and that's where they join up. So the big intersection, big junction out to the east side on East Camden, that is an area where I think there could be a tornado with this storm. It will cross that and then parallel Highway 7, which runs down straight down into Camden, but on up through that part of Ouachita County. And I'm going to zoom out just a little bit. I don't want to kind of want to give you an idea of where we are in the state. We're way down in the southwest part. There's Sparkman up here. There's Fordyce over here. And so this storm will be moving between the northern part of Ouachita County, Bearden. It will be out to the west of you. That rotation will be. We'll go back. I'm going to zoom out just a little bit, put this into motion for you. Still have 2 tornado warnings within our viewing area, but there are several more with this spiral band all the way down, crossing I-20 and I-49 there. There are at least 2 more storms right now. I think there were 3 earlier, so one of those is not a tornado-warned storm anymore. Hopefully the circulation center, which now looks like it's moving somewhere around the Tyler, Texas area, and all the precipitation is off to the right of it. It is encountering resistance. Every mile it goes, it loses its fuel, and it has to work with friction with the land. And that's what slows these tropical systems and makes them less efficient in producing rotating thunderstorms. But we're going to watch that whole area, and then I'm going to back it on out here, and I'll show you that in the Little Rock area, we still don't have much in the way of rainfall. It's raining over into Hot Springs. This area in western Arkansas has had kind of a corridor of rainfall, and so we'll watch for a few spots to flood. But the forward motion of this storm, as it will make its way up kind of along I-30, it's actually continuing to at least hold its speed. Forward momentum of 14, 15 miles an hour. So it's not going to be here forever, but it's going to be here all evening and well into the overnight and early tomorrow morning. But we do have the tornado warning, and that now has been extended. So I'll just show you exactly what we're talking about. And the National Weather Service has said, yep, there is enough rotation on this that it's going, remember where we said? It's going right up into the northern part of Ouachita County along Highway 7. So if you're in that area now, now's the time to go ahead and take your tornado precautions of getting inside the lowest floor, the most interior part of your house. These don't tend to be large tornadoes, but it doesn't take a large tornado to do a tremendous amount of damage if indeed there is rotation there. And it really still looks like that there very well could be as this storm moves off across Highway 79, kind of the junction out there on the east side of town, and moving on up to the north. I think this one may look a little more impressive than it did, James. I'm not sure, but it at least has that structure to it, and I think we've got to keep a close watch on it still.
Yeah, the Weather Service thinks that this storm has really good rotation aloft, and said they'd be surprised if at some point it didn't try to produce a tornado at the ground. This is going to move right up Highway 7. Southeast Clark County included in that warning. Also very south part of Dallas County does not include Fordyce. This goes towards the west of Bearden. I'd imagine if you were anywhere in the vicinity of Camden and East Camden, you could look at the base of this storm and you would have a really big lowering with what's called a wall cloud. That's just going to be the big base of the storm is going to be very close to the ground. From that base is where you get a funnel and you try to get tornadoes produced from your storm. That's what it would look like if you happen to be listening to us in Camden or East Camden, looking outside. This eventually is going to take it up towards Sparkman. Sparkman, you're not included in the warning, but just one thing to think about with this storm that's moving towards the north. This is going to go very close to Shoemaker. If you're in Shoemaker, please get in your tornado safe place. And this storm continues to look very impressive structurally. And that's not good when I say that. It's just a textbook storm is what I'm trying to say. The area of strongest rotation at the ground doesn't continue to look super impressive, but we could very well have something trying to get down here very soon. I'm looking at the Entergy Arkansas outage map just to see if anything is going through the Camden area, and I don't see any new outages, at least in that area. So that's certainly a good thing. A part of Camden there is serviced by Entergy. East Camden is not. Power outages, most of the power outages are down in southwest Arkansas, over 5,000, most of those in Miller County where we had a tornado earlier, just less than an hour ago. So this storm continues to work its way towards the north. It's going right up Highway 7. Eventually going to take it into the far south part of Dallas County. I do want to draw your attention very quickly over to Hope. We do have some very strong rotation with the storm that's over towards Hope. And while we don't have a debris signature, I do think that this is going to be crossing over I-30 very soon. I think we're going to be seeing a new tornado warning issued soon, and it's going to include Hope. Hope, you're not in a tornado warning. This is just to the west and southwest of Bodcaw. We've had very strong rotation going through the western section of Nevada County. At times, this tornado has been confirmed. So very dangerous circulation there going right up Arkansas Highway 32. This is eventually going to get up into Hope. So Hope, even though you're not under a tornado warning, go ahead and get in your tornado safe spot. And this likely is going to pass well towards the west of Prescott, but this is now just towards the northwest of Bodcaw. We're going to take a closer look at this storm because I think it is pretty impressive looking as well. You see Shover Springs there next in line for this storm, Centerville as well. Bodcaw, you are in the clear from this storm, even though the tornado warning is still in effect for your immediate location. All three of these, they're kind of easier to see from the Shreveport radar. All three. The one that's headed towards Hope, and then the one that's really on the Nevada, Ouachita County line, and then the one that's moving through East Camden, headed up into Dallas County, have to be watched just very, very closely. And we're doing that. The National Weather Service is doing that. Remember, when you get a tornado warning, when you get that alert on your phone, turn us on. If you're in the path of the area of rotation, go to your tornado safe place. That's an interior room. You want to be away from windows. Garages, not a good spot. So make sure it's an interior closet. Basements obviously work best, but interior rooms are great shelter from tornadoes on days like this. Multiple tornado warnings continue to be in effect, and I want to apologize if you are set up to watch. I'll apologize in advance. Primetime programming here on Channel 7, there is a chance that we may be staying on with tornado warnings as we go through the evening hours, as these move closer and closer to southern and central Arkansas down the road. The tornado warning that's in effect for part of Clark and Dallas County, that's going to be in effect for about another 30 minutes. The area of rotation that looks the most impressive, though, is what's off towards the southeast of Hope. And whether I'm looking at it from the Little Rock radar or the Shreveport radar, they're kind of in between there at Hope, that is one spot where we're going to need to watch for the possibility of tornado development. It doesn't look like we have a tornado down at the moment, but very well could happen in the next moment or at any time. All three storms continue to advance towards the north, and again, as you look back into southern Louisiana or northern Louisiana, there's more storms kind of marching north of I-20. At any point, they could exhibit areas of rotation. We'll go back into the storm that's on the east side of Camden. For those of you there, we have their area of rotation is now just north of 278, approaching Harmony Grove. We've had no indication that we have a tornado down, but there is where our rotation is, along Highway 4, 278. The National Weather Service looks like that there's no indication from radar, at least, that a tornado is down, but that doesn't mean that it can't happen at any moment on a day like today. These storms are very dangerous, and a tornado can drop at a moment's notice. So that storm approaching Harmony Grove, moving north at 25 miles per hour. We'll put another storm track on it for those of you that are down the road, and it looks like it may be moving a little bit quicker than 25 miles per hour. So I'll go ahead and include Sparkman in this storm track. Harmony Grove, obviously right on top of you, and Harmony Grove... Harmony Grove, the storm's right on top of you. Sparkman, I think it's going to be quite a bit before 7 by the time this storm gets to you. It's moving a little bit quicker than the 25 miles per hour. Barry, as you look at the regional radar, it's a classic tropical system that's moving through Arkansas, though most of our tornadoes that we get from tropical systems don't occur in June or July. They're occurring in September, maybe October. It's kind of rare to see July tornadoes in Arkansas.
Yeah, and this hurricane was more like a fall hurricane, August, September hurricane too, just with its strength and the warm ocean water, and it really was able to build up, and really it's kind of hanging on to its power. The storm that you said near the airport on the east side of the town, Camden, moving right up through Harmony Grove, the high school there, and it will be moving on up to the east side of Highway 7. That's where the little notch is right there. And there is certainly some wind. There's a brand new scan moving a little bit to the north of there. We're looking at it from the Little Rock area, so not much between it and the radar site. It's just a long way away. So it's going to be just hugging that 7 corridor if you're in that area right there around the high school, all the way up into the northeastern corner of Ouachita County. Go ahead and get into a safe spot. Still watching the storm out on the west side of the county as well. And there's a lot of wind energy with it, but I think the Weather Service is just saying, you know, we see a lot aloft with that, but we don't see a lot of low level. And so that's what they're looking at. And then the one that's over around Hope also, if looking at that from the Shreveport radar, and yeah, it's just a long way away from the radar bottom line, but we can still get an idea with these storms of the wind field inside of these. Hopefully we begin to see this particular storm die down. They tend to really persist for a long time, though, it appears. I'll go back to what the storm looks like just with reflectivity and the darker shading right there. That is just torrential rainfall. These are really, these are not hail producers in this type of environment, but there's a lot of rain. There could be some wind with it, in addition to the wind being put out with the thunderstorm there. But the rotating part is the one that is what we're really more concerned about as it moves off to the north, eventually moving up into the southwestern corner of Dallas County. I don't like the looks of any of these, but by the same token, they may not be producing tornadoes. We're going to say, just in case, go ahead and get into that lowest spot in your house, most interior spot away from exterior walls and windows. If you have any damage and you can safely go out and take a photo of it, you can send it to us via chimeinat@katv.com or to at KATV James, at KATV Beryl on Twitter, to our Facebook pages. You can search for those or KATV. We want to see that, but we do not want you to put yourself in harm's way at all. And these are going to be very difficult to see. If there is actually a funnel on the ground, they're going to be very difficult to see, so don't worry about that. But if you have a report of damage, let us know with this. Not seeing a lot of power outages with this one as it moves up through Ouachita County. Miller County, confirmed tornado there, about 4,500 without power out of the 5,500 that are without power in the entire state. So there has been damage to power lines, we think, in Miller County, in that far southwest corner. I'm going to get an update here, and 5,500 still, and still, it takes a little while sometimes to track, but out of 15,000 customers in Ouachita County, no reported outages. Sometimes there is a little bit of a delay, a 5-8 minute delay, but we're seeing no reported outages there. Boy, we hope that is the case. Calhoun County as well, none out there. So hopefully this is not producing a tornado. Possibly it is producing a tornado, though, and the signature of it as it moves on up Highway 7 and into that northeastern part of the county. Really, 3 storms there. They're kind of along a band, one of those spiral bands, and if you put this out a little bit wider, let me go back to this. If you go out a little bit wider, you'll see other bands down around Shreveport. There's a band right there, 1 tornado warning within it. There's a band right there, 1 tornado warning within it. But it's off to the east and the northeast of the center of circulation of the tropical system. And it will continue to move on up toward the southeastern part of Clark County and the southwestern part of Dallas County. I just want to give you folks a heads up. You're barely in that tornado warned area. It's still, though, that curl right there is in the northeastern, kind of northeastern corner of Ouachita County and lifting off to the north. Put it into motion for you over the last 30 minutes. And you can see, yeah, just a very straight north-northwest movement on that one as it continues to move up. And James, I think it still looks like we're looking from the Little Rock. There's still some sign of rotation there. And the one over around Red Hill on the west side of the county, still kind of a messy look there. But I think there is still the possibility that there could be some rotation within that. And the storm is rotating. It's just, I think the Weather Service says that they don't think it's rotating down to the ground yet.
That's right. If it's weak rotation, they don't put a tornado warning on it. And so, on that note, the tornado warning that was in effect for Nevada and Hempstead counties has been canceled. Rotation weakened on approach to Hope, so there's no tornado warning in effect for Hope. That one has been canceled. However, towards your southeast, there are new tornado warnings in effect for Lafayette County. 1 storm moving into Lafayette and Miller counties. Another storm just now moving into Columbia County. That's going to move into there's kind of, these storms are moving over the same areas, which you don't often see, but these are now the 3 tornado warned storms that we are watching. Of course, the storm that's up into Ouachita County, and there are other storms out there that are rotating. These are just the 3 that are tornado warned at this time. As we kind of look, we just took kind of a broad view of everything that we're watching. These storms, at a certain point, if they get far enough away from the center, they kind of outrun the best ingredients, and then you start to notice storms closer to the center do all of the rotating and are the ones that are most concerning. The storm that is approaching Hope, again, weak rotation, the one that's really on the Nevada-Ouachita County line, weakly rotating, but the most impressive storm has been the one that's now on the north side of Camden. So that is the one that we'll focus in on. With the other storms just near the Louisiana border, we go towards the north side of Camden again. Just west of Shoemaker, if you were able to get a look at this storm, you would probably notice that it's got some impressive structure on it. It's probably got a pretty big wall cloud that's passing just west of Shoemaker. That's a wall cloud that's probably pretty low to the ground with as humid as it is. That doesn't mean it's producing a tornado, but I imagine there's a very low cloud base in the vicinity of Harmony Grove and Shoemaker at the base of this storm, probably rotating at times as well. That's why there's a tornado warning in effect, because at some point this could produce a tornado as it moves towards the east. Goes without saying, Harmony Grove, Shoemaker, make sure you're in your tornado safe spot. The rotation within this is very broad, and I circle this wide area, not because the whole thing is rotating, but as you get closer to the ground, that area of rotation is a whole lot smaller. You won't probably see a giant tornado. It'll be a small tornado, but this is continuing to move towards the northeast, and I mean northwest, and we saw on the last update there still some impressive wind embedded within this storm, and I'd be willing to bet that even if you're not seeing a tornado, you might actually be able to see some damaging winds out of this storm just with the way it looks on radar. Still, it's the best looking storm we've had all day in the state. Now getting into the northern section of Ouachita County and Sparkman. Not under a tornado warning right now. If you get iPhone alerts, you're not under a tornado warning, so you haven't gotten it on your phone. But this is closing quickly, and I do believe that if the current trends hold up, they're going to extend that tornado warning. So start thinking about your tornado safety plan as this continues to drift towards the north-northwest. I think if it got way down the road, it would pass towards the east of Arkadelphia, of course, but that's hopefully more than an hour down the road. It won't come to that. This storm eventually will get up into Dallas County, though, and these storms, you're seeing the purple showing up there on a normal severe weather day. That might be a sign that these storms are producing hail. These storms are not producing hail, but they are producing very, very heavy tropical rain. There's a lot of moisture in the atmosphere, and you know that if you stepped outside today. Very, very heavy rain now on the north side of Ouachita County. It's a good thing these storms are not sitting in one spot, because these storms probably are dumping 3-inch per hour rainfall rates. Just looking at rotation there on the northern side of Ouachita County, it really just looks like a jumbled mess. Kind of hard to pinpoint the area of most significant rotation, but we can there, and it's just towards the north of Shoemaker on the west side of Highway 9. Again, probably a low cloud base with a chance that it's rotating and could produce a tornado at any time. Tracking what the National Weather Service offices in Shreveport and Little Rock have been saying. They have some damage reports out of the Texarkana area with trees down. The Camden storm is continuing to show strong rotation aloft and a weaker rotation closer to the ground. The storm here that's just north of Camden, if one's going to produce a tornado, this is going to be the one to do it. So hopefully it doesn't. It's just north of Shoemaker, and as far as what's going on elsewhere in the state, the main show right now is down in South Arkansas. Right now we are seeing areas of rain off towards North Arkansas and West Arkansas, and we expect some heavy rain tonight, but the tornado threat going to be with the area of Beryl called the right front quadrant. So it's the area towards the northeast of the center that's done all the tornado producing, and that's what we're looking at this evening. It's easy to point out your strongest storms, several of them along I-20, another couple of them crossing into Arkansas down in the southwest part of the state. And then that kind of rogue storm, Barry, it's kind of far removed from the center of circulation. But it looks very impressive. It almost doesn't look like a storm that you'd expect to find in a tropical system here in Arkansas in July. But that's what we've got, and that's the tornado warning storm we're watching right now.
Yeah, you mentioned it's kind of on the east side of everything and has unimpeded airflow in it. It doesn't have any rain cooled. I say rain cooled, even though during a tropical system, it's warm rain. If you've ever been outside in a tropical storm or a hurricane, you know the rain falling isn't cold like the rain that we have, generally speaking. We do have a tornado watch in effect. That's until midnight tonight, extends up into central Arkansas. Probably be extended a little bit more late tonight and into the overnight hours. We're going to watch that storm for a little while longer, and it's one of only 3 tornado warnings within the state right now. The storm moving into Hempstead County is not tornado warned, even though it looked like it had some rotation with it. Shreveport has not issued a tornado warning with that one, not a watch. Watch is in effect. There's the rotation, the broad rotation there in the northeastern kind of corner kind of north central Ouachita County. And very soon, that area, which is what we're looking at, will move up towards Sparkman in the southwestern part of Dallas County. It's paralleling Highway 7 as it moves off to the north-northwest there. And so that's what we're watching closely. And the Weather Service says that that storm still has enough upper rotation where they're actually shooting the beam into it, that they figure it is a more organized storm, has faster rotation there, and it would be the one, if there is a tornado produced, that would be the storm that would do it, and probably not that one, which now is moving over into the western part or eastern part of Nevada County, kind of out of Ouachita County. We'll continue to watch this storm, and here's what it looks like reflectivity-wise, and just rain being pulled around a circulation center there mirrors where we see in the wind field that storm moving up to the north. Now, it's moving up to the north. It's raining heavily in that area, so you're not going to see this. It's going to be rain-wrapped, and you're going to have to be very close to it. So just get into that safe spot in your house. Most interior spot, small room, bathroom, closet, something like that, as it moves off to the north-northwest at about 25 miles per hour. The other storms that we're looking at still are there. Hope right on top and west of Red Hill. But this is certainly the stronger storm, and it's out on the east side of everything. And I just don't think it has much competition for wind coming into it. And certainly there is a lot of spin in the atmosphere, a lot of what we call wind shear in the atmosphere. You get just above the ground, and the winds are quite a lot faster than down below. And the difference in the speed of the wind aids in the process of a storm rotating like that. All moving around the circulation center, which continues to move off to the northeast. I'll put that into motion for you really just over the last 30 minutes there. And you can see most of the rain with a weakening system, it's not centered around the circulation. It tends to then just fan out to the right. But there are big bands coming in. And along that one band, we have our tornado warning now moving up toward from Ouachita to Dallas County. We have another band right here that will be moving through Columbia County and into Lafayette County, which is a place already that has been affected by a tornado, it appears, and then on down to the south. But eventually, the center of circulation will move up into Arkansas. It's still characterized as a tropical storm, has winds greater than 39 miles per hour. I think by the time it gets into our state, it will continue to slow and slow and slow. It has some momentum, but it will become a tropical depression. And so straight line winds, I don't think, are a big issue with this. Lots of rainfall is going to be an issue for a few spots, places that have already had some heavy rain over the course of the last month or so. Not many spots have had a lot of rain over the course of the last month or so. So I think our ground can handle some of this moisture, but there will be bands of very heavy rain, and isolated flooding I don't think is out of the question at all. But our concern is still with that storm, and this is a new velocity scan here. And so you can see winds coming toward the radar site, going away at a pretty good clip right there. So that would be the area where the storm is rotating and the possible area where there could be a tornado as it moves right along Highway 7. Going to be passing into Dallas County in pretty short order, James.
All right, well, I've just been watching the velocity scans over the last 10 to 15 minutes, and I'll just point out a few of the things that I noticed. One, this storm really is taking on kind of the springtime severe weather outbreaks characteristics. Really doesn't look like a low-top storm that you'd find in a tropical system like we typically see every few years when we have systems that produce tornadoes in Arkansas. It's got very strong inflow winds moving into the storm. That's one thing I noticed. So this is a very strong supercellular storm. I think this storm, Barry, might actually be tall enough to where it may be producing some small hail. This storm... usually tropical storms like this do not get very tall. This may be an exception to that. So that's why I think we may actually be seeing some small hail being produced from that. So the rotation still on the weak side, but still a very formidable storm, and it continues to kind of have, it checks all the boxes as far as just the structure of the storm. You see the hook echo, and the area that's we really want to keep a close eye on will be right there at the base of the storm. If we have a tornado, that is where it's going to be. This is going to be north of Shoemaker, and if you were sitting on Highway 9 looking towards the west and you saw a clearing, I'm telling you, you would see a wall cloud at the base of this storm And if it was wrapped in rain, you may not be able to see anything at all, but there's probably a really low-hanging base, and if there's going to be anything that rotates and comes out of that at all, it's going to be out of that wall cloud. The tornado warning is in effect until 6:45, so we will see if the National Weather Service opts to issue another one that would include Sparkman. But if you're in Sparkman, here's what you can prepare for. This area of rain, very, very heavy. You can expect that this is probably dropping rainfall rates of 4 inches per hour. It's not going to sit over you for an hour, so you won't get 4 inches of rain, but it's going to be very heavy as it moves through Sparkman right up Highway 7. If you're on Highway 7, no doubt driving conditions very difficult right now. Of course, you've got a possible tornado, so make sure you get to a safe spot if you are on Highway 7. And if you're on the north side of the county line, you're going to be pretty close to the path of the area of rotation as it moves into the far south part of Dallas County. This is just one area of rotation that we've been watching over the course of the last really almost hour now. If you're just joining us, wondering about primetime programming, at least for the moment, we're going to be watching tornado-warned storms as they move into Arkansas associated with Tropical Storm Beryl. And it is still a tropical storm, though at some point it will weaken to a tropical depression. Put it in motion, show you exactly what we're watching. That storm, the most structurally sound storm that we have, I think we do possibly have another tornado very close to occurring in Columbia County. Just a quick update on that. This is again southwest of Magnolia, but there's a big increase in rotation along Arkansas 160. And as that moves towards the northwest, headed towards Stamps, we could see another tornado in that part of the state here very soon. The tornado warnings that are in effect, we have no new warnings other than the 3 that we told you about. And with all the rain there, I'll take off the rain and just show you the 3 tornado warnings. We've got the one in Miller County, and then we got the one in Columbia County and Lafayette County, and then we have the one that's in effect for northern Ouachita County, southern Dallas County. And again, that one is in effect until 6:45. It's moving north, and it continues to kind of look very, very impressive just from a structural standpoint. And what I mean by that is you can almost see the storm kind of curling up. That's a hook echo. Now, we don't normally see these moving off towards the north, but that's why we have a tornado warning in effect, because structurally, this type of storm supports tornado development. So even though we have heard no reports of a tornado being down, I bet the storm looks like it could, and it could at any moment as it moves towards Sparkman. This tornado warning in effect for 13 more minutes, Barry. Coming up, the Weather Service will have a decision to make on whether to extend this into more of Dallas County. We've been with this storm for almost an hour, and it appears it has not produced a tornado to this point. So there's some hopefully good news.
Yeah, just looking at it, 18 power outages, I believe, in Ouachita County, 20 in Nevada County. Just a tiny fraction. So I think if there had been a tornado that was down in Ouachita County, I think we'd see those, and in a near populated area, I think we'd see the tornado or the power outage numbers really start to jump if there was that tornado anywhere on the ground. And we'll continue to monitor that for you, but we do still see that tornado-warned storm now extended up into far southeastern Clark County and Dallas County as well. And then the whole southern half of the state, basically, and a little bit more, in a tornado watch until midnight tonight. We're, again, hoping for a weakening, but it's not going to be a short-term thing that we're going to see that storm weaken. We certainly do see, as it gets closer now to the radar site, this is just wind going away from the radar site in Little Rock. It's about 12 miles closer to the radar site than it was earlier. There still is a lot of wind energy with that, as it's just about to move out of Ouachita County, headed up towards Sparkman, kind of in the vicinity of Sparkman anyway, along Highway 7. And it does have a hail potential. I'm just looking at this. Radar's estimating 1.25 inches hail under the spot where there's just the most moisture there, the vertically integrated liquid, it's called. Just how much stuff is in there, and hail shows up as that. And so I think there could be some hail with this storm, which is rare. And I don't think it's probably large hail, but it's rare with a tropical system like this. So this is kind of taking on, as James said, a little bit more of a, almost like a springtime thunderstorm just there at the eastern edge of this whole system, because it's growing so tall, which these don't typically do. I looked at the top of this one, it's about 30,000 feet tall, which is pretty tall for a tropical system like this. Again, we have the tornado warning that's still in effect It's kind of shrunk in size, but there is, along the east side of Highway 7 there, an area where wind is coming toward, wind is going away in a small area. And reflectivity-wise, it certainly has that hook appearance there. So it's trying to pull in what I would call slightly drier air, but it's not very dry air on the east side of it. It is raining out to the east of it, so that is a little bit rain cool, but there is still, with a new scan that is just coming in there, there is still a rotation center there just on the east side of Highway 7. Anywhere along the Dallas-Washita County line, if you're in that area, go ahead and get into the low spot in your house, most interior spot. We apologize for breaking into programming. It's just one storm, I know, but we are going to, if it was in your part of the state, we would be there for you as well. And the propensity of these storms to actually produce tornadoes, we've seen it in southwest Arkansas, Miller County for sure, and down in Columbia County, I believe, as well, and on down into Louisiana. So this is the system that will be moving in. The Weather Service will be looking at this. We will get you back to programming as quickly as possible, but we're not going to abandon this storm as it continues to move up into an area which eventually would take it into a more populated area up around Stamps. Still looking at power outage numbers, still 18 in Washita County, still 20 in Nevada County. So this doesn't look like, perhaps it was a storm that had a tornado that was on the ground, either that or it missed all the power lines when it happened, but it's still wrapped up pretty good. The one in northeastern Nevada County, not as strong looking, and the one over in Hempstead County, not as strong looking either. The one headed towards Stamps down to the southwest, that is a little bit stronger looking storm. That should not move into our viewing area there, but we'll continue to watch that storm as well. But the northernmost one with that tail right there, that's the one that we're looking at as far as the tornado-warned storm. It will move up into Dallas County. It looks like the circulation will be Dallas County and not so much that southeastern corner of Clark County as it moves off to the north-northwest. Have you seen anything from the National Weather Service, James, on this storm?
Not yet. They're doing the same thing we are. We're just watching this storm to see if it's going to maybe pulse down or pulse up, just do something other than what it's doing, which is just weakly rotate and look good on radar. This is zoomed in way into the northern side of Washita County. There's Smead, there's Arkansas Highway 7, County Road 59, County Road 219, County Road 419, County Road 60, kind of all in the vicinity of areas of the strongest rotation. We're talking about this rotation. That doesn't mean that we have a tornado down, but I think at any point with a storm like this, you could see a tornado drop down out of this storm. We're looking at that hook echo that Barry was just talking about. The county line to Dallas County is right there, and there's Highway 7 where it takes its turn towards the west. If you were on Highway 7, my goodness, it must be raining very, very hard. It must be very hard to travel. But otherwise, the area of rotation just towards the east of that, drifting slowly towards the north. We're in between Highway 7 and Highway 9, northern Washita County. We're going to be looking up into Dallas County here shortly, looking at the latest rotational velocity scan, which is just a fancy way to say looking at which way the directions or the winds are going inside the storm. We still do have some low-level rotation that concerns us for the possibility of a tornado. County Road 36 right there in the vicinity, and County Road 260, which runs west-east. A couple of spots where if you're in anywhere close to those spots, please make sure you're getting into your tornado-safe spot, just at least for the time being. Each scan that we get just kind of tells us a little bit more about what the storm is doing, and it's still rotating weakly as it drifts towards the north. We do have an answer from the National Weather Service. They have opted to issue a severe thunderstorm warning, so they've watched it long enough, and it hasn't produced a tornado to where they're going to issue a severe thunderstorm warning. That's going to be until 7:15. That's going to include Sparkman, so this is going to be for high winds as this storm moves towards the north, because it's been weakly rotating. To our knowledge, has not produced a tornado, and will be into Dallas County here shortly with the threat for high winds, and we'll continue to watch the threat of a brief tornado coming out of this as it moves towards the north. Barry, are they letting the tornado warning remain in effect for another 6 minutes, or are they going to let this go?
I'm not entirely sure. I was wondering the same thing myself, but they have indicated that it is a severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible tag, and there certainly is rotation as it transitions now out of Washita County into Dallas County. But as James mentioned, the low-level component of it just seems to be missing. One thing that the National Weather Service has indicated with this storm is, yeah, it looks like it could be rotating. It looks like we could see a tornado from it at some point, but it hasn't. And maybe we're just not into that circulation around closer to the center of the dying tropical storm. It's just not up into our state yet. And maybe the wind field, kind of that energy component, will be better, will be more conducive as that moves up into the state. And storms like this could then rotate. But they say there must be a missing component to it. And so I think that's what they're looking at. We'll continue to watch the velocity product on it as well. I will tell you that if you're along Highway 128, right here, headed into Sparkman, if you're headed on the east side of Highway 7, I would just keep a wary eye to the sky along with that storm, because it does look like to me that that could have something with it eventually. But it looks like has not happened yet. James, did you get an answer on that, whether the tornado warning was still in effect?
I think they're going to let it go, Barry, and as you were saying, the wind field maybe not quite as good as it is just towards the south. But this wind field is moving with the tropical system. Look at all the tornado warnings from Columbia County down into the northern part of Louisiana. So as that line moves towards the north, that's what we'll be watching as we go through the evening hours. I do want to tell you that if we are on, that the season premiere of The Bachelorette will not be seen tonight, and you can stream it on Hulu 24 hours after it airs. Assuming we are able to get off the air here in just a minute, Barry, I don't think it's going to be the last time that we're on. I think we're going to have this line to watch, and as it moves towards the north, I think we'll probably see more tornado warnings issued, with the possibility of, brief tornadoes as this line moves up into central Arkansas, because eventually this is going to make it all the way up into central Arkansas tonight. And on the west side of that, back towards Texarkana, that area of rain that's in northeast Texas, very, very heavy rainfall. That's how we get towards the 2, 3, and 4 inch totals. I believe we have some video to look at.
Yeah, I think they're getting that ready. In the meantime, though, I think we're going to stick with this storm just a little bit. That still looks like to me that it has some rotation with it. But let's take a look at that video. I think we have it ready to go there. And yeah, not exactly sure where this is from. Oh,
That's going to be Lafayette County.
Okay, yeah, that was a little bit earlier in the afternoon. That was the storm that eventually moved over into the Texarkana area. That's at a point where it was weakening. It's kind of
roping out there,
yeah. But yeah, that's the storm, and that's why we're on the air with these storms that look like they're rotating. And this one still does look like it to me, James, as it moves off to the north. We are gonna. I think we will send this back to programming.
Well, that looks a little better.
Yeah, I mean, it still does look strong to me.
I wonder if the Weather Service will keep an eye. Let's just.
I'll tell you what. I know, folks. Wheel of Fortune is on. We apologize. We certainly do. But that looks as good as the rotation has looked for a little while on this storm. Let's stick with it for a few more minutes. We'll get a couple of scans, and perhaps we can then go back to programming at some point. But James, I just don't know. I'm completely comfortable with not being on for you folks coming into Sparkman right now as it moves up to the north.
That's about 2 or 3 scans where it has increased its low-level rotation, and now looks pretty good there towards the west of Holly Springs. And so the area, at least for another 2 minutes, I believe, still is under a tornado warning. But Barry, that's the best circulation this storm has produced since it was on the Ouachita River southeast of Camden. And I just got a new scan on Storm Scan. It looks even a little bit better than that. Southeast of the town of Ouachita, southeast of Sparkman. And we'll see if the Weather Service maybe reconsiders and issues a...
Well, in any event, whatever they do, we're gonna remain with it here for just a little while. 640 without power in Ouachita County. And that number just jumped within the last 3 minutes. And so I'm wondering if we're seeing some of that rotation that was in the northern part of that county. We're starting to see the outages as it began to strengthen there in the northern part of the county and is now moving up into southwestern Dallas County. In any event, we also have 510 without power in Nevada County. That number also just jumped a little while ago. Could be lightning with that. There is some lightning with these as well. But the possibility that this is producing a tornado, I think we just need to stick with it a little while longer as it moves up into the southwestern part of Dallas County. The tornado warning actually is not in effect, but this yellow box here, that's a severe thunderstorm warning, it went away, is a severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible tag. So kind of an advanced severe thunderstorm warning with this. And it may not be producing a tornado, folks. Let me just tell you. But in any event, just get in. If you're in that area along Highway 128, between 128 and 7 there, go ahead and get into the lowest spot in your home. Most interior spot. This is going to be moved past you. Think about a car driving past your house at 25 miles an hour. It's rather slow, but it gets past. And so that's about the speed that this storm is moving. And I just think that as we look at this, we need to watch each scan. There's another scan that just came in and kind of updated a little bit.
So Weather Service, what they think about this is it doesn't look exactly quite right.
Yeah.
So maybe some contamination there on the east side of the storm with how it's wearing towards the radar.
Right.
So
that could be as well. Yeah, and we're getting a little bit of a jumbled mess there. So the inflow into that storm may not be enough to warrant a tornado warning.
So what we do know, though, is that the better wind field is off towards the south. So there are strong winds now headed towards the east side of Sparkman. Though right now we think the tornado threat with this particular storm is on the lower side. But it's still a formidable storm, very strong as it moves towards the north. We're going to continue to watch it, Barry. And in the last couple of scans, it's kind of lost a little bit of its structure.
Yeah, it did.
And that's because it's running out of the best wind fields.
Right. Because